Hello out there, board game fans. It is I, the Undead Viking, and I want to talk to you really briefly. Well, I'm going to talk really briefly about the subject of this video, and then I'm probably going to extol a lot moving forward from that. So I'm here to talk ostensibly about a little expansion called Rudders and Ramparts for a game called Feudum. I did a review for Feudum at 2017. You can probably find the link to my old review if you want to check that out. Back from a couple of years ago, or maybe I can put one of those linky things up here. I don't know. Whatever. You're going to be able to find it on my channel if you want to check that out. Feudum, when it came out, really surprised me. I was really taken aback by just how good it was, and just like how much thought and effort the designer Mark Swanson must have put into it. And I'm getting a little bit into what I want to talk about there, but you know, just the game's awesome. It's in my top 10 of all time. If I ever made a list of top 10 of all time, it would be in there. And I'll talk more about that and some other stuff here in just a little bit. But if you haven't seen, like, or don't know anything about Feudum at all, there's tons of reviews out there. You can check out, I'll put my link here, or maybe one of those buttons or something. I'll let you go ahead and you can click on that, or you can click on somebody else's review. There's playthroughs from like John Gets Games or Ant Lab Games. People have done a really good job with those things. You can check that out. But regardless, what Feudum, Rudders, and Ramparts does, it adds like a little, like literally a card worth of rules to the game. That is the long and short of the rules. And then it adds a bunch of cool little minis that are basically like you have these little castles that you're going to be able to put little guards in that are going to help defend your territories. You're going to have these cool flying ships and what have you that are going to be bonuses to your attack and things like that. And like I could probably like read the entire rules to you. Basically, it's like you can when you acquire a vessel tile, you may pay 1 shilling to replace it with a deluxe vessel, and then you remove the tile. And then upon ruling a feudum, you may pay 1 shilling to add a castle and 1 royal guard marker as a subject. If you already have a subject there, replace it with the royal guard. A castle with a royal guard earns you a +1 in feudum defense, and with a deluxe vessel earns you +1 attack. At the dawn of each epoch, you must pay an upkeep fee of 1 shilling for each deluxe vessel and or castle you possess. So there's kind of like a rent, if you will. If you cannot pay the upkeep, replace the deluxe vessel with the original tile and or return the castle and the royal guards and general supply. Subjects previously replaced by the royal guards don't return, so you might lose your subject in that case. And then royal guards may not be targeted by the noble starve the people ability. And players boarding an abandoned deluxe vessel, because you do abandon it when you can't pay for it if you choose to, they don't have to buy it. They can just take it. Like, woohoo, I got your flying vessel now. You know, they can just take off with it, right? So, and then, and also, you can buy, like, multiples of the expansion that get up to 9. Now, my thoughts on the expansion, I played with it. I loved it. It was, like, something cool and new and fun to play with. It, obviously, like, the castles were fun to put on the board. A little, like, this little, like, cool, like, futuristic but not futuristic flying vessel was fun just to kind of transport your cube on there around. And so it's just it was really fun. It added another dynamic to the game, and if you own Feudum, I'd strongly suggest getting it, just because it's just more stuff, and it's a blast, and it adds, like I said, an extra dimension, an extra thing to the game that will keep it coming back to the table. All right, so that's that. You know, as I said, and if you don't own Feudum, I strongly suggest that you go and check out some of the reviews. You can check out mine if you want to listen to me blather on about it for an hour. There's lots of other shorter reviews you can check out if you want to. You know, it was a game that, like, when I got it, I was like, all right, you know, this is kind of a heavier Euro kind of thing. But it had a lot of player interaction. It had a lot of players, like, you know, directly affecting one another, which I really liked. And it was one of those things where it's like, at that point in like the time that I was playing games, there were a lot of, like, and I don't mean this in any negative way here, so just take this as it is. There were a lot of really good games coming out right then, but there weren't a lot of games that were taking chances. And by that I mean, like, it was like everything was kind of safe. It was like, hey, here's my cool little fun card game that's fun. Yeah, that game was really fun. But you know, it wasn't anything new. It wasn't anything that like was like, oh, you know, like this is gonna actually make you read the rules 3 times before you set it down. And don't take that the wrong way. Dense rules do not necessarily make a good game. However, like interjoining, complicated, gotta figure this out, brain-burning rules can really make a great game. There's a difference between that. So you need to have, you know, so don't get me wrong. I mean, you know, it's like, I've read game books that are like, this doesn't make any sense, this is really complicated, I don't want to play this, I'm going to just put it away. Thank you very much. But, so at that time, as I said, there was, or it was like, oh, hey, here's my, like, kind of medium weight Euro, where you're going to be moving your little workers around, you're going to collecting this thing, and you're going to be putting this little, like, chain together to earn some points. And yeah, I mean, there were games that I could play, and I'd have a lot of fun with them. But they immediately kind of just left my own personal zeitgeist, if you will, and just were like, oh, okay. And then those are the games that, like, I would walk by at conventions, like, 6-9 months later, and I'd see the board, and I'd be like, I've played this, I think. You know, I'm picking up the game box, you're looking at this. And I don't mean to say that, I'm kind of come across as an arrogant jerk right now, and I apologize for that. And I'm trying to be more aware of that. But it was just like, when I played Feudum, and if you go back and watch my video, you can probably hear me talk about just like how impressed I was with the design. It was just that, it was like, here was a game that was unabashedly heavy, intricate, and in your face with its what it was doing. And it wasn't like here's this kinder, gentler game that we want to just kind of ease people into. It was a game that just basically said, you're going to play this? Okay. This is going to take you a couple hours. If you're playing with 5, and in fact, it was 2 to 5 people. I loved, because I mean, and it actually was really good with 2 people, and it was really good with 5 people. You know, so I mean, it was one of those things where it's like, nothing stinks more, right? When you got 5 people at game night, and you got your game, you really want to play it, it's for 4 players, and it's just like, and I'm hearing like Arn Anders singing up 4 Horsemen. But I mean, when you're just like, I can't play this, right? You know, because I got 5 people here, so you got to put that game back on the shelf. But with Feudum, you can play with 5 people. But anyway, so where I'm going with this is that I have noticed, and this is my I'm going to think about the board game hobby really here, and what actually is a top 10 game, and what makes games amazing, and what have you. So, you know, I've been doing these video things now for, geez, like a decade, and you know, and it's just like, I've seen all sorts of board games come down the pipe. I've seen lots of different changes in the board game hobby and the board game business and what have you. And I like to think that, you know, I've kept my eyes open, and I've kind of monitored it, and I've done a pretty good job of keeping my finger slightly on the pulse of what's going on. And there are a ton of good games coming out right now. I mean, just, you can't keep up with them. And I know if you're watching this, if you follow the board game hobby, you know that there's like so many out there. And it is really easy, and as I said, to just play it safe. And that doesn't make it a bad game, right? You know, you can play it safe and come up with a fantastic game that is just superb, and like something that I will play, like, you know, several times before it like goes up on the trade-off pile. And that's something I, you know, mentioned. Like, people say, why do you get rid of your games? And I said, because I am, and I've said this in many reviews before, I'm an exploratory gamer. I will check out a game, and I will play it, and I will like dive into it, and I will like, you know, think about that game, and I will think about how I'm going to score points, and how I'm going to, you know, figure out the path to victory, or you know, what have you. But as soon as I've delved all that out, as soon as I've excavated that to my own personal pleasure, then I don't want to play it anymore. And I mean, it isn't that like if I walk by and I'm at a convention and somebody says, hey, you want to play a game of Le Havre? Okay, fine, I'll play a game of Le Havre. You know what I mean? And for those of you who don't know what Le Havre is a very, very good game, but it came out many, many years ago, and I've long since gotten rid of my copy of Le Havre. But I would sit down and play it again. You know, because somebody said, oh, okay, because I don't need to learn the rules. I might need like a quick minute refresher, and then I'd be up to roll, and I would play it, and I would have fun with it. But it would be like, it would just kind of be that process of the game. And now there's lots of people out there that love playing games that are just going to be like, you know, hey, I want to play this game for like the 30th time because I want to try out this new engine. I want to try out this new way to play. I've come up with this other idea that I had. How could I like squeeze these more points out of my own personal like way of playing this game? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Something I've always said is that, you know, I might hate Pandemic, which I do. I frickin' hate Pandemic. My daughter came back from her birthday party just recently, and she said, I played Pandemic at my friend's house. It was amazing. I love that game. And I was like, yeah, it's a good game. But I know that my personal disposition towards Pandemic is very unpopular. I just don't like the game. And that's another story for another time. But, you know, but if people are out there playing it and having a blast with it, they should have a blast with it. And the thing is that I'm missing out. Because why wouldn't I want to love every single game that I play? Why wouldn't I want to just, like, any time I sat down to play any board game, it was just the most fantastic time I could ever possibly hope to have at that moment of my life. And that's what I want. But that just isn't how it works. You know, not every music's going to be for me. Not every movie's going to be for me. Not every TV show's going to be for me. The biggest thing is that we have to learn to let people just enjoy what they enjoy and just, you know, try not to tell them that, you know, you're not enjoying that for real, you know. Anyway, you know, I mean, a little trash talk is fine, but truthfully, let people love what they're going to love. And you know, overall, unilaterally. But getting back to Feudum, which I've kind of like totally gone off the pace, is like, I always say, it's when people say, oh, what do you think of Feudum? It's like, it's one of my top 10 games. And they're like, why? And I'll say, well, go look at my review. And I'll delineate the feelings that I had in the review. And those feelings have maintained themselves over the 2 or 3 dozen plays I've had of Feudum over that period of time. And there are very few games that are like that are Euros, that I feel that way. If you've watched my channel from the beginning, and if that's fine if you haven't, but you'll know that I skew towards a thematic game. I skew towards what was more in a different era was called Ameritrash. You know, lots of dice, lots of plastic, whatever. You know, that was the type of thing that I enjoyed. That was the type of thing that I played. And now I've expanded my horizons a great deal, but there are very few like Euro games that people would consider Euros that are in like this amorphous top 10 games. Dominant Species is one. That I really, really enjoy. For whatever reason, I just love Pillars of the Earth, with the expansion, of course. It's something I can't get enough of playing that game. It is super light. It is super just like straightforward. But like if somebody says, "Hey, I got Pillars of the Earth," my first question is, "Do you have the expansion?" And if they say yes, I said, "Save me a spot. I'm going to play that game." I don't know why. It's just one of those games. It just clicks with me. And Feudum is one of those games that clicks with me. It's just, it's something about it. As I sit down, I mentally start preparing myself for the puzzle, for the brain burn that it's going to be over the course of that 2 hours I'm guessing it's going to take me to get through that game. And I look forward to it. And here we are in this present day and age, and this is nothing wrong once again, but the 1 hour medium weight Euro is just like that's the game. And as a person who works for a board game publisher, I fully recognize that that is the target audience. If we want to create a game that is enjoyable, that people are going to be excited about, that people are going to love, that's kind of our parameter that you want to shoot for. You want to shoot for that medium weight. You want to shoot for that hour to hour and a half play time. You want to shoot for a very agreeable theme and a very agreeable mode of play that people are going to enjoy. I mean, I'm not trying to do a commercial for Tasty Minstrel Games here right now, but look at Crusaders right now. Seth Jaffe. It takes about an hour to play. It is a wonderful Rondel Moncala game that we are, getting very, very good responses to, as far as the games being purchased and also the games, the people playing it and the reviews that we're seeing. And it's something that, but that's the type of game people like. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that isn't, if you said, and if somebody came up to me, yeah, and Crusaders I've played, with all the playtesting and everything else that I've done, it's, it's well into the double digits, as far as the number of games of Crusaders that I played. And I still love the game. I still really enjoy it. Now, I'd probably play something new, but if somebody said, oh, you know, it's like, do you want to play Crusaders or Pandemic? Well, you can probably guess my answer to that question. But, so, it's weird, and it's a very weird world that when you have a game like Feudum, that when it comes out, it is as well received as it was. And it is very against the grain for people to get excited about something that is as heavy as Feudum is, for as involved as Feudum is, for as intricate, and for as bold as the game is. And this sounds like I'm totally kissing butt to Mark Swanson, and maybe in a way I am. But the thing is that when that game showed up at my door back in 2017, I started reading the rules. I said, this is something special. And I think I haven't watched that old review. I don't like watching my own video stuff because I hate the sound of my voice. But if I'm remembering correctly, I remember saying something along the lines of just like, this is special. This is not like the normal stuff that like normally people are designing, and like just saying I'm gonna go to Kickstarter and I'm gonna publish this super heavy game, and I'm gonna publish, and you know, there's gonna be somebody who calls me out and say it's not super heavy. Okay, fine, but if you are medium or medium light Eurogamer and you sit down to play Feudum, it's gonna surprise you as far as, you know, the rule set and what's going on. So, I mean, and yeah, going back, yeah, I may be kissing the designer's butt a little bit here, but the thing is that my board game world is in a better place because Feudum exists. And Feudum is still a game that hits my table on average at least once a month. Because when I have people over, and I have people over that want to play games, and we're trying to figure out if we want to learn something new, do we want to play something, and somebody will just eventually say, you know, let's just play Feudum. And I'll be like, yeah, let's play Feudum. Because, you know, it is something that, for me, like people say, oh, what are your top games of all time? Well, the biggest thing for me is that when that board hits the table and I can see it start setting it up, and this is any game, and am I excited the moment I see that? Oh, you know, get the box open, start putting everything out there, start getting everything set up. You know, am I already getting excited to play? That's like, you know, and there's very few games that do that for me. I mean, off the top of my head right now, I mean, I'm going to like say like Battlestar Galactica is one, Feudum's one, Dominant Species is one, Pillars of the Earth is one. Cosmic Encounter is one. I just had one on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember the name of it right now, and I feel dumb because I was just going to say, but you know, Game of Thrones, like the big board game, and oh man, I can't wait for that expansion to come out. So, anyway, so if you're still watching this and you were expecting just a review of like Feudum and the expansion, then you probably shouldn't have watched all the rest of it. I told you, just go get it, right? But if you're still watching this and you're still on the edge as to whether or not, one, you're in two worlds right now. Either one, you own Feudum already and you own everything else for it, but you haven't decided if you want to get this expansion. Well, like I said, you should just go get it. I mean, back it, get a copy of it, and then you'll probably be mad at yourself because you're going to want 2 more copies of it so you can have a bunch of those vessels and a bunch of those castles. And you're probably going to go ahead and get those as well. The other, well, there's 3 possible realms. The second possible realm is that, like, you just want to listen to me blather on forever, and, you know, there's a few of you out there who do that. And thank you very much for listening to me talk about nothing, and I'm sure you're the people that tune in every week to watch the weekly show of the Owl Boom. And for those of you who don't, Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Central, live show every Wednesday. We just we have a blast and talk about anything and everything. We try to stay board game centric for a little while anyway. And then the third world you are in is that you've never played Feudum, but you are getting into the board game hobby, and you turn this on while you're at work, and it's been background noise for you for a while. Here's the deal: if Feudum, if you are a heavier, you lean towards a heavier board game, I strongly suggest you get Feudum. It is, and I think there's a deal right now on the Kickstarter where you can get all of it. Like, you can, like, I mean, it's going to cost you some scratch, but you can get everything. You can get this expansion, you can get the base game, you can get all the expansions to the base game, you can get the Queen's Army solo expansion, you can have all of those things, and you can have them delivered to your door and get them fulfilled. It's one of those things where if you are a person that likes heavier games, I think I'd strongly suggest that that's a route you'd want to take. But there is a pledge level that is just the base game and this expansion. And that is something you can do as well. And I think that, like, if you do a little bit of research, like I said, you can go ahead and watch my video if you like, or like one of the many other videos that are out there that have been done, or check out one of the really great playthroughs that exist as well. I think those would help you out a lot in making your decision. But like I said, if my opinion matters at all to you, then Feudum is one of the best board games that has come out in the last few years. And that is saying a lot, because the board game empire and the board game publishing world is literally spewing these things out left and right. And what an amazing world that we live in, where all these amazing board games are constantly coming out. We have so many more options to play. And, you know, yes, there's maybe, and this is a discussion for another time, maybe that isn't a good thing. But there is definitely a positive to it, and that is the fact that we just have a plethora of options out there. And one of those amazing options you have for you is Feudum. So there you go. If you have questions or comments about anything that I've said, by all means, go ahead and say those, and I would love to respond to you in any way that I can, or possibly help, or whatever. But regardless to anything, as I always say, be the most awesome version of you that you possibly can be. It is dang tough. Life is rough, and life will just knock you back and forth and beat you up. Today I literally ripped the door handle off my car. It was frozen shut, and I pulled on it, and I came away with a broken handle, and I actually I have a long jagged cut across my finger here that I had to actually go and get stitches today. I mean, that was like what a day, right? But, you know, my finger's like throbbing and what have you. But you know what? Every day is amazing. It is a gift that you get to unravel, and you never know what to expect. And just be the most perfect version of you that you possibly can be. I definitely screamed some naughty words up to the sky when that happened. But you know, just strive for excellence, and I guarantee you, I used to, many years ago, be a jerk and just think it was fun to be a jerk. But being a jerk is dumb. And the thing is that the more you try to give love and happiness to the world, the more the world is going to try to give you love and happiness back. And I guarantee you, you will be a happier and more calm and more rational and more forgiving and more patient and more happy person if you try to do that. Anyway, I'm enough with the Bob Ross what have you. You right there, you're awesome. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Until next time, I am the Undead Viking, and you have an awesome day.